Hey, Evans. So what is the meaning of life? I can't tell you how many times I get messages from theists of many different types who talk about how if their God didn't exist, then there would be no meaning to life, and so what would be the point of living? They would just kill themselves if there were no God. A lot of people have kind of brushed this subject, and I felt like it was time for me to do a video on this subject, and so there's multiple ways that you can look at this. Number one, there is no meaning to life. Why should there be one? You're alive, isn't that enough? Of all the different DNA strands that could have come together, yours is the one that did. And that's a pretty unique thing when you think about how many sperm cells didn't make it, how many eggs weren't fertilized, how many different ways that could have gone down, all the different scenarios, all those odds that the creationists like to throw at us. But you're here. So why do you need a meaning? You're alive. Make the most of it. Maybe that's the meaning itself. Maybe that is the meaning. The meaning of life is to make the most of what we have. Some people will say that with no God, that means that you should not, you have no moral grounds. It's just simply that you must be out there for yourself. But what does that mean exactly? What does it mean to be out for yourself? Now you can say, okay, well, I'm going to take whatever I want. But if I do that, will my neighbors let me get away with it? Can I just go to their house and steal their stuff? No, they'll probably make sure that life becomes very unpleasant for me because they're not going to like that. So, you could say, I want to make the most of my life. But that doesn't give you free haul to do whatever you want. But anyhow, I'd like to take a different approach, and this is one that is also talked about by David Mills, who wrote Atheist Universe. This is a very interesting book. I don't care if you believe or don't believe. He does a lot of just explanations and things and discussing various topics that I think would help anyone who is trying to understand the atheist community, whether you are one and you're trying to figure out exactly where you position yourself. I'm not saying you have to follow this as a guide. But at least he'll give you some ideas to think about so you can determine for yourself what you think. But also for believers who want to understand why we are the way we are. Very good book. He lays out the groundwork very well. But anyway, he is at in the beginning of the book. He has an interview. Someone is doing an interview with him, and he has the transcript from that interview, and it reads like this: Interviewer says or asks, "If you don't believe in God or life after death, what then is the meaning of life?" Mills responds, "I think that we make a serious error to speak of the singular meaning of life. From a purely biological frame of reference, the purpose of life appears to be reproduction and survival. But I believe that your question seeks a more philosophical response. The only realistic answer to meaning of life questions is that 500 different people will have 500 different meanings to their lives. What I personally find deeply meaningful and satisfying may be of little interest to you. Similarly, the things that you cherish most in life may bore me to tears. Generally speaking, however, I would say that most people, including myself, find family relationships to be among life's most meaningful aspects. But I respect others who might disagree with my opinion and believe that sculpting magnificent statues or racing automobiles is more meaningful. The error in searching for one meaning of life is to assume that every human being holds identical values. In reality, every individual is different and has a perfect right to be different." So, this is why I made this video. This idea that the meaning to life loses all value if God is not present. What does that really mean? What are they really saying? So what is your meaning to life, Mr. Fundamentalist Christian? The most common answer I get is to glorify God. Okay? So if that's your answer, and your answer is that the meaning of life is to glorify God, how do you do that? Oh, now we start getting all these different answers. So apparently the meaning of life is different for all of you as well. Even though you think your core answer is to glorify God, you do it in different ways. Maybe you're doing missionary work in some third world country. Maybe it's doing door-to-door evangelizing in your hometown. Maybe it's some other version of proselytizing to get your message out. Or maybe it's doing charity work at home, feeding the homeless and helping the sick and the needy and whatever. That's how you see that you do it. It's what you find meaningful and how you can make a difference in your community. Well, I do the same thing. I just don't do it for any deities. So think about this for just 1 second. What if everyone in your religion had the same idea? What if we all had the same meaning to life? What if every single one of us wanted to become preachers? Then who would grow the food? Who would run the shops? Who would build the houses? Society would break down and fall apart. It's a good thing we all have different ideas of what the meaning of life is. It's not about one meaning. It's about all of our meanings so that life becomes progressive. My meaning to life, as I see it, is to simply try and leave the world in a better place than I found it. To try and improve someone else's life. Whether that be my family, whether it be my neighbors, whether it be my community, whether it be my nation, whether it be the world itself. To make as big of an impact as I can to advance civilization and help things move along more progressively. Because think about it, if it weren't for people who did the groundwork, just huge finds and discoveries and inventions, where would we be today? I mean, we could all still be living in grass huts, living day to day, hoping we don't, die over the winter from freezing to death. Instead, we have running hot and cold water with central heating and air, with the internet where we can broadcast across the entire planet from the palm of our hand if you have the right technology. Wow. Just think about that. Wow. And you think the meaning of life is making your sky daddy happy. Well, if that's what makes you happy, I'm not going to stop you. But as far as I'm concerned, my meaning to life means a bit more. So, hey, don't take my word for it. Think for yourself.